Hello everyone, today we are making a very simple recipe called Bangan ka bharta and fulka. So for the Bangan ka bharta you need a medium sized bangan, okay, and you have to score it. Scoring is when you pierce it with a sharp object or a knife, through and through, and this is done so that the heat of the gas of the flame penetrates through it. But for that you will have to apply a little oil on the surface, okay, spread it evenly all over, and then you put it on a live flame. You can also put a wire mesh or steel mesh and then put this on top of it. Okay. While this is done, we will prepare the dough for fulka. Okay. For the fulka, we need whole wheat flour, we need salt, and we need some water. Now, water I'm taking by judgment, but ideally it's about 50 to 55% of the weight of the flour. For example, if I'm taking 100 grams of flour, about 50 ml of water goes into it. Okay, that kind of ratio. So I make a well in the center of the flour, right? There's no sieving done here. I don't sieve the whole wheat flour unless there are some impurities or insects and all that, right? So you have to check before you do that. So once you put the water, you take um, the flour from the sides of the wall and then you roughly mix it. Okay, this is called the mixing stage. Now what is happening here is the gluten in the flour is now hydrating. Now gluten is not just one component, it is glutenin and gliadin, two components which have to be hydrated to be brought together. So now there is not enough hydration, so you can see that it's still breaking, it's not bound well, right? So what is water doing here is binding the starches and the proteins. So I keep on adding water, I keep on mixing it roughly with my hand until a homogeneous mass is obtained. Right? I keep on mixing it till this rough mass that you see. This mass is now breaking. Okay? There's no point putting pressure, there's no point putting doing too much kneading at this stage because it's going to be all over the table. So I keep adding water, I make sure that everything is bound together and only that will I start my kneading. Okay? In Hindi it's called malna. आप डो को या आटे को मलते हैं, right? So you keep on adding water as per requirement and see the amount of water that I'm putting. It's not too much, just taking about enough, kneading it in the dough, and then I take the next amount of water, right? Now you see the table is cleaning up. All the flour, all the dough which was all over the place is now binding together. This is called the cleanup stage. Okay, it literally is cleaning up the table or the vessel in which you make it, right? Once this is done, I roll it over these small pieces of dough over the flour that is on the table, right? I want to make sure that every part, every gram of the flour that I've taken is incorporated here, right? Now this is where I can start kneading. You see now I can actually hold the entire dough together. You can see a little smoothness in the dough also, right? But a little more smoothness is required for you to get a good fulka or a good outcome, right? Now this is still a little tough, okay, the dough. So what you have to do is you have to keep on adding water, smaller quantities each time, okay, and you tear the dough. This is called tearing of the dough. You're not kneading it yet, but since this is not a bread dough, I may not knead it eventually. I just need to keep tearing it so that the gluten is now fully developed. Now, gluten plays a very important role in your naans and your rotis and your bread. Okay, more in bread than your Indian breads. But you need to have a smooth dough so that you get a good product which puffs up pretty well. A fulka has to puff up, right? So it happens only when it is bound well, when it is kneaded well, when the gluten is well developed. So all the steam that is generated when you are making the chapati, it gets trapped inside the layers of gluten, right? Now you see the entire table is cleaned up, right? We're taking up everything that was spreading all over the place because it was not smooth. Now it is kneading. Now I'm tearing the dough with a lot of pressure. I've got my right leg forward, I've got my right hand forward, and I'm pressing it with the balls of my palm. Okay, knead, tear. You keep doing this till you get a smooth dough, a soft and smooth dough. Okay, You can use both hands, you can do it with one hand, you can do this in a container, you can do this on a stainless steel tabletop, you can do this on a clean marble top. Okay, as per your convenience. I'm more convenient, putting a lot of pressure on a table than, using my knuckles to press it in a container. Okay, like it is done at homes. Now I feel that it is, kneaded well and it's smooth enough. At this stage, I will add some oil to it. Okay, very little oil. A lot of people say that you don't put oil in the fulka, but I, for one, I suggest that a little oil should be added, because once you create the gluten, it needs to have some extensibility. It's like lubricating the gluten. Okay, so that your chapatis or your fulkas are softer, right? Just that amount of oil that I put was just enough, not too much, not too less. It would be about half teaspoon. Okay, 1 teaspoon is about 5 ml approximately, so I'm using half teaspoon here. Okay, once that is done, once you know that the oil has mixed completely with the dough, I round it up, I set it on one side, and I cover it. It is very important to cover the dough. Okay, now by this time the eggplant that we had kept on the flame is completely done. It is literally mashed. Okay, that's what bharta means, right? Completely mashed. These are the ingredients we would require for the bharta. You have chopped onions, 2 large ones, 2 large tomatoes, 2 large green chilies which are not very fiery, a jeera, and you need coriander, chopped coriander. Okay, we have kept the roasted eggplant in a container for some time, so that the skin, which is roasted and burnt, peels off easily. Okay, now we are peeling it off completely, because we don't want this in our bharta at all. Okay, we have put it on a flame so that we get a roasted flavor in the product, right? Now if your bengan is well done on a flame, the skin will peel off easily, right? So this is peeling off really easily. You see a little browning happening, on the surface, and it is literally mashed. You don't have to do much when you put it in the sauteed onions and tomatoes. And the water that you see that has oozed out from the aubergine has to be kept. You don't have to throw that away, right? This is how it looks once you take the stem off. Now in a pan, in a kadai, we will take some oil. You see the amount of oil is really large. You need that kind of quantity, okay, so that the onions saute well, they don't get burnt, they don't get stuck to the container. Okay, so you have to make sure you heat the oil well. Now this is a domestic flame, so heating up takes a little more time than usual, right? But you have to be patient. Once that is done, you add the jeera, also called cumin. Okay, you have to make sure that they fry, they get a little brown, and then you add the next ingredient, which is green chilies, chopped green chilies. Okay, we don't want them too fine, you don't want them too big. Okay, a lot of green chilies, but don't worry, they are not fiery, they are not hot as such. These are the light green ones, which are big, not the small ones which are dark green. Okay, so once you put the green chilies, you put in the onions, nice pink color. You also get red onions which are slightly on the sweeter side, so those also can be used. Okay, so once this is done, you saute well. There's a lot of restriction of space in a small kadai when it comes to cooking on a large scale, or cooking it heartily on a high flame. So I will be transferring this into a pan for me to be able to stir the entire mixture easily, and also for you all to see it more conveniently. Okay, you keep stirring it. Just because the oil quantity is high and the onion quantity is even higher, these will not get burnt, and the flame, according to this domestic range, may be a little high, but it's not really high to burn the onions as such or caramelize them at a fast rate. You want them to be a little translucent. Okay, translucent is when you can't see through them as such, but they are still a little transparent types. Okay, so you have to cook them till they are translucent, till they make the mixture a little sweet. It's when the onions start caramelizing. Okay, you don't have to brown them at all. Right now, it is better in a pan. It's a huge surface area. You can spread the onions evenly. You can spread the other ingredients evenly in a pan. Right, and you can stir them. You can make sure that all of them are evenly cooked. The onions are evenly cooked. Right. So I will not try to make them brown at all because it's not how it's done. This is home style Bengan ka bharta, north style. Okay. Now to make sure that a lot of water from the onions, is removed while it is cooking, you put a little salt to it. What salt does is basically it removes the water from the onions. As a result, what happens once the water is out, that water evaporates, and what is left is then starts cooking faster. Okay, so I put a little salt here so that the onions cook faster. They are in a larger quantity and they have to cook at a faster rate. So I keep spreading them. I keep spreading it all over the pan. I make sure that all the onions are heated well. Okay. So that's why I prefer using a pan instead of a kadai. If the kadai is a little bigger, then that's a different question altogether. So I will allow this to cook. I will not keep stirring it. I will allow it to cook for some time. I will keep stirring it in between. But I want the onions to cook well. Okay? They don't have to be crispy. They don't have to be too limp. They have to be just right. They have to be translucent. Okay, if you can see that the onions are now frying well, they are spread all over the pan. Okay, but if you leave them just like that in the pan, there are chances it will get browned. I hope everybody knows how to chop onions now, roughly chop, fine chop. Okay, if there are any requests from students who want to know how onions are chopped, how they are sliced again, I have done a video in the past where I have sliced onions. But if there's any other vegetable you all want me to show, the cutting of which you want me to show, you can put it in the comment box. Okay, very important that your vegetables are cut evenly. All of them usually are of the same size, same dimensions, so that once you look at the dish when you're eating it also, there's some uniformity there. Right? Now at this stage, I think we have cooked the onions enough. You put the tomatoes. Now you're adding more moisture. So the chances of the onions browning is next to nil, unless you just leave it on a flame and you forget about it. Okay. So once I put the tomatoes, I stir it again. I allow the tomatoes to lose moisture in the pan on the onions. Okay. As a result, the cooking of the onions get delayed. Because when you're cooking onions in oil, they cook faster in a hot oil. But a little water, a little moisture from tomatoes, and the cooking gets delayed. Right? So at this stage, once you know they are well cooked, you add red chili powder, you add salt again, and you add turmeric or haldi. Okay? Again, mix it. Everything has to be evenly mixed. Right? You see that the onion and tomatoes are now reducing. Once they get cooked well, they start reducing. We kept them on a flame for a long time. Now we are adding the roasted mashed brinjal. Okay? Now you see, because I had scored it and I had cooked it for a good 20-25 minutes, it is getting mashed and mixed very easily into the onion and tomato mixture. Okay, a little skin here and there you can get rid of, but a small amount of the skin, the burnt skin, does not really make a difference. That roasted flavor gets imparted in your food. Okay, that's the idea. That's what Bengan ka bharta is all about. The roasted eggplant or brinjal. Okay, now you see it's well mashed. It's mixed evenly. At this stage, we add a little coriander and mix it again. Okay. You can also add some garlic when you put your jeera in the beginning. That's an optional thing. That's why I didn't put here, because it tastes better even without it. But if you want to get a little more extra flavor, you can add garlic. Okay, your bharta is ready now. I'm transferring it to a serving bowl, right? And I'm going to garnish it with more coriander, chopped coriander, right? So your bangan ka bhatta is ready. What you need to do next is now take out your dough and now roll it into a baton shape. Okay, you don't just start taking the dough and start pulling out the pieces and start dividing it into portions. Now we've had a few MCVC students, past MCVC students, who had come to meet me today. So they offered to help with the video. Okay, they remember their old days in the college in 11th and 12th, and they wanted to help and they wanted to do this all over again. Okay, so once you divide this dough into 8 pieces, you have to round them up evenly. It's very important that the peda, they are called pedas in Hindi, these are called pedas. So you have to round them up evenly, okay, smoothly and evenly. Once that is done, you cover them. Okay, we've got about 8. You can get about 10 to 12 depending on what size chapatis or fulkas you want. Okay, but make sure that the dough is evenly distributed amongst those pieces. Right, once this is done, we cover them, keep them for some time, and then we start rolling them. We've got some flour on the table. We've got these rolling pins. Okay, so this ex-student of ours, he's working in a hotel currently. So what they do over there is they round up the dough, they make a peda and they flatten it and keep it. Once there is a pickup, once somebody orders the fulka, they roll it with a rolling pin on the table itself. Okay, what you have to basically do is roll the chapati in the center in the beginning, in the fulka, and then roll only the sides, because too much pressure in the center will not allow the fulka to puff up. Okay, now we have put it on a hot griddle. The rolled fulka we put on a hot griddle. You don't have to cook them completely on both sides, they just have to be slightly cooked. If you all remember what coagulation is, if you remember that I spoke about coagulation, this is where the protein coagulates. You can't just put a half cooked or an uncooked roti on the flame directly. Okay, it will tear. Now what we've done here is we have slightly roasted it on both sides. You see a little bubbling happening here. Okay, it's puffing up. You turn it again, a little color on both sides, and this is the stage where you put it on the flame directly. Okay, on the direct flame, high flame. This is how a fulka should puff up. Okay, you cook it on both sides, not more than 5 to 10 seconds, and your fulka is ready. Okay, I hope you try this at home and you enjoy